but he said he was excited about this team, and he said because we're going to be forced to play basketball. He said I think it's going to be healthy for a lot of these young guys to play this way in this new type of offense we had. What do you see the offense looking like without Russell and Paul?
Well, obviously, when you have two players like that who are, really, really gifted and talented and can do so much on their own, by just creating space for those guys, and both those guys not being here, how do you, try to find ways to maximize and utilize some of the different players that we have this year on our team. And I think for us, offensively is the biggest thing is, how well can we generate, good shots together for one another. Last year, with those two guys, they were so gifted and talented offensively that, they could really, in a lot of ways, go create and create really good shots for themselves in a lot of different areas of the floor. So, how can we, Russell was a guy that got fouled a lot, going to the rim. Paul, the same thing, a high free throw volume shooter. But that's got to be a part, I think, us offensively is, how can we still have attacks at the rim? How can we still play at the basket? How can we generate free throws? And how can we generate, open shots for one another?
Billy, what have your discussions so far been like with Chris, just in getting to know him a little bit and about kind of the role and what you guys are looking to do?
Well, I think the first thing is, Chris is obviously a great competitor. He's been in the league for a long time, extremely bright and smart and cerebral. But I would say that, for the most part, he has displayed to me that he's got both feet in a circle, and he wants to come in here and wants to compete. I think that's probably one of his greatest qualities is his competitiveness. I've enjoyed the time that we've spent together. He spent 4 days in the end of July, beginning of August, to come in and worked out with some of our guys. I had a chance to go to California and see him. He came in last week, so he's a great guy. Like I said, very, very smart, competitive, and I think a guy that's got both feet in a circle to do whatever he can do to help our team.
Coach, I know losing two of the best players in the NBA is not obviously ideal for a coach. However, do you welcome the challenge of coaching some younger guys and having the opportunity to put maybe a little bit more of an imprint on this team?
Well, I think our team is a mix of a lot of different things. We've got some young guys. We've got guys that are maybe, so to speak, in the middle of their careers, and then we obviously have some veteran guys. So I think we have a real good mix of guys with a lot of different experiences. But it's all going to come down to, with all these new faces and guys being in new roles, new positions, how well and how long does it take for us to become a team, to play together, to help each other, to, like I said, on offense, help generate good shots, help play for one another. I think trying to establish the one thing since I've been here, there's always been a really, really good defensive identity. We've been good defensively. How do we tomorrow start in training camp, build back to having an identity on defense? All those things become critical, and I think when you're starting over like that with some new people coming in, some younger guys having maybe more opportunity, that takes time for all that to come together and work together, and that's got to be, the first thing, starting off tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Coach, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a guy that he's in his rookie year, he's already known to have like a really versatile game. And what are some of the things that you're really looking forward to trying to develop to make a little bit better, or just be able to use in your offense moving forward?
He is a great kid. I think the thing that I've come to, getting to know him a little bit, and again, some of these guys are new. There's only so much time you can spend with all of them, but you do get a chance to spend some time with them, and we'll spend a lot more starting tomorrow. I think he's a guy that's really comfortable in his own skin. I think he's just a basketball player. I think his mentality is, whatever I can do to help the team. He obviously had a great rookie year. He's a guy that's really driven. He's a motivated guy. He's about, I think, he's about winning. But he's very versatile. He's got good size. He's got good length, and I think he can play in a lot of different positions in a lot of different areas of the floor.
What's the significance of having a point guard like Chris Paul around Shai so young in his career?
Well, I think that we have a unique situation with three of them. I'd throw Dennis in that category too. Shea is early in his career. Dennis is kind of in the middle of his career, and Chris is, really the guy that's got a lot of veteran experience. So I think they all can help each other. There's clearly going to be times this year where, two, if not three of those guys will be on the floor together. I think they can all help one another. I think there'll be some time getting to know one another as players. This will be the first time that any of them have played together. But I really believe that the three of them can help one generate shots, for each other, for the rest of the team. And I think that they all are smart enough and cerebral enough to play off each other.
Billy, you've got a situation where two of your most accomplished players, Chris and Gallo, are going to be people that obviously teams are going to have some interest in, or could potentially have some interest in. Also, they're, over the course of their careers, been fairly injury prone. Has there been any discussion yet about how you guys might manage minutes or how that might work?
Well, I think that you can look across the league right now. I don't think that we're any different from any other organization. The most important thing with all these guys is their health. And, we've always done it that way with the player and the medical staff and the coaching staff, working on that. But, that's something that's going to be closely monitored. And I think the league has probably gotten smarter. The medical science has gotten smarter. Players have gotten smarter in terms of understanding and knowing their bodies. So I don't think only for Gallo or for Chris, really it falls into, every player, just making sure that physically, they're at a place and spot that they can perform their best, while they're out there. So, again, I think it's not only for us, but I think it is league-wide. It's something that everybody's going to take a look at.
Billy, just looking at your roster, it seems like you're going to have guys who are playing roles or positions that they're not necessarily used to playing. How consistent do you want to keep those throughout the year, and how do you manage guys, adjusting to their new roles throughout the season?
Yeah, I think when you start taking perimeter players and moving them to the front court, or you take a front court player and move them to the perimeter, those are the hardest adjustments. But like for, like a guy like Hami, per se, he can play the 2 and the 3. If you ever tried to go small and play him at the 4, that would probably be something a little bit different that he'd have to, adjust to. Same thing, with Andre. He's played in so many different positions. So if you're on the perimeter, I always say this as a player, the more positions, you can play and the more things that you can pick up, it certainly gives our roster a lot more flexibility to play different lineups. For example, like Nerlens is never going to play a small forward spot. This is not going to happen, right? So, but there's other guys that can move around. Like Shea's a guy that can play the 1, the 2, the 3. He can kind of play all over the place. Chris last year, at times was off the ball as well. So, that's what you have to do is they've all got to, how well can they all complement each other, inside their role. And I do think having versatility on the perimeter, those guys will be able to do that. As I said earlier, I think when you start moving around from perimeter to front court, that's always takes a little bit more time.
Last question for Coach. Go ahead, Cliff.
Yeah, Coach, Steven Adams has shown flashes of being a dominant player. How does these changes affect his role?
I don't think so. Steven has always been a team-orientated guy. We need him to do the things that he's always done well. We need him to defend. He's going to be, in a ton of pick-and-roll coverage. We need him to rebound, protect the rim. Those things are important. Certainly his ability to run the floor and to give us a post presence. Steven's always been a really unselfish player as it relates to passing the basketball and trying to incorporate other guys offensively. So, again, I don't want to put, with Paul and Russell and Jeremy, them not being here and having kind of 3 starters out there, I think it would be unfair to say, okay, Steven's got to now emerge into something. He needs to keep being the player he's been. And since I've been here, he's progressed every year and has gotten better. And my guess is he will improve this year and get better as well.